Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the CTI League and some censorship. Patrick David talks about Disney's destruction of their brand. We're also going to, well, sadly mention, if you haven't heard yet, Charlie Munger died. I saw that notification come through. Boy, that's kind of sad. I honestly, I worry a little bit about Warren Buffett. You know, we touched on that a little bit earlier, that often when somebody who's so close to you, whether it's like a life partner, a spouse, a friend, or whatever, passes away, and you're both over 90 years old, and Charlie Munger 99, his birthday was what, 35 days ago? I think you were talking about 30
in 35 days, January 1st.
So, yeah, January 1st. So that's actually like even like 33 days now. He was so close to 100 years old. And dies before. That's so terrible. And these are some brilliant minds, Munger and Buffett. I don't think we appreciate how much we've had of both Munger and Buffett. I hope the best now, obviously, for Buffett, because I think he's the one, obviously, in addition to Charlie's family. But I think this is gonna hurt Buffett hard, because it's like that. It's not the light at the end of the tunnel; it's the darkness at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, things just go black. Buffett's 93. He's in his early 90s.
Yeah, let's see what part. But and so far, I mean, both of them have still seemed very competent and with it.
Astute,
Buffett's 93. Munger, I mean, he was 99 and just died. And I mean, he doesn't fall over sandbags or read things wrong. At least, I'm sorry.
Crazy. Warren Buffett has his McDonald's every single day. Is that the trick?
I wonder how much of that is marketing. Like, dude, how much does Berkshire own of McDonald's?
Yeah, probably has a Coca-Cola for lunch every day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he got his Apple iPhone. He's get upgrades every year, So, or at least he says it does. He does. It's part of the marketing. I don't know that anybody can realistically end up having McDonald's every single day for breakfast. You probably would get a heart attack. But anyway, so super sad for Charlie Munger. What's this CTIL thing that everybody's freaking out about now? Tell me about it, Mikey. What do we got?
Yep. So this is the Cyber Threat Intelligence League. And so basically what these documents are, this is a whistleblower report that came out today.
I've been in a league before. League of Legends.
Yeah. Were you ever competitive?
No.
Yeah, no, me neither. But it's basically into this, it's insights into this operation of
There's competitive, and then there's were you good?
Yeah.
I was competitively bad.
I couldn't ever rank.
Yeah.
This anti-disinformation group. So apparently this started as a volunteer project, and it sort of escalated over times involving the Department of Homeland Security and a couple other entities too. So these documents, and I have them, we can look through them in a little bit, but they outline basically modern censorship programs. They talk about a intelligence in counterintelligence industry complex.
It seems like it's almost like the fancy way of saying the new Ministry of Truth. And it's sort of trying to find, okay, where is disinformation spreading? We were paging through this earlier, and what was really incredible was they were really targeting a very specific, or maybe I shouldn't say they were targeting, but let's look at like 185. We go to page 185. Maybe Ken, let's throw up 185 on screen here. These are this is under subsection 5 for political alignment of influential Twitter accounts. And and then here, incident titles. This is how these problems, quote unquote, were categorized. Any references to Stop the Steal, Sharpie Gate, Dominion voting systems, Pennsylvania postal whistleblower, Michigan dead voters, Nevada whistleblowers, Minnesota ballot harvesting. These are obviously all, originating from the right. But the interesting thing is, I don't see a lot here from the left. I do want to go a little bit further. We saw the officer one. I wonder if it was almost like trying to throw this in to balance this a little bit. 195. And I know a lot of people, they hear this and they say, hey, well, maybe only the right's doing misinformation. I don't believe that. I think everyone who exists who has a political purpose is motivated by pushing their own sort of truth, so to speak. And so here is sort of where they try to counter this a little bit, where they're only attacking right-wing organizations or trends or tweets or whatever by saying, well, here is an Occupy Democrats group promoting this idea that the law enforcement of Miami has been weaponized on behalf of Trump. And, in fairness to this paper, it seems like they're trying to say, hey, look, there's misinformation happening on both sides, which is true. The problem, though, is when we go up, what was the one where they showed the political affiliation? That was, I think, like one, oh, there it is. It's page 188. Here, you have the repeat spreaders of election information category. And on the right, they show, the very far most right column, they show what the political alignment is with accounts like, Real James Woods, Donald J. Trump, James O'Keefe, from Veritas before he got fired from basically his own company, Sean Hannity, and all of them, right? And so I think that all of us as humans look at stuff like this and realize there's, especially after the Twitter files, there's this massive campaign to censor truth, so to speak, out there. And then there's this whole backlash now of other truth coming up. And I personally, I want to hear your thoughts on this, Mikey, but I think one of the best truths that you can have is just let everybody say whatever the heck they want, to the extent that it's legal. Your opinion that that it's wrong that a police officer wears a MAGA mask, basically, that's fine. You should be able to say that. Is it then fair to say that the entire Miami Police Department is MAGA? No. But a reasonable voter should look at that and go, okay, so what? Like, where's the picture of the one wearing the Biden mask? Oh, wait, nobody does that. Anyway, so what do you think, Mikey? What am I missing here?
I agree with your take that the best way to fight disinformation is just to put everything out there and let people make up their own mind. What I have, and actually, if you could throw this on the screen too, this is from the same paper. It shows the dark blue over here are left-wing Twitter activists. The gold over here, this yellow, is right-wing Twitter activists. And then we have communities, left-leaning and right-leaning. So apparently it went after both. You could see there's very much more on the right wing than on the left. And just putting this in a historical context, I think a good part of this had to do with, well, we had Brexit happen, and then we had the 2016 campaign. In both of those cases, in the case of Brexit, there was obviously a lot of misinformation. I think an entire country basically got duped and didn't realize what they signed up for till it was too late.
Interesting. Wow. So you think they shouldn't have basically left the EU?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so you think because of political messaging, whether or not it matters whether they left the EU or stayed part of it or whatever, you think that was actually a point where we started seeing social media as a weapon for swaying people's votes in a certain way, which then got amplified by Trump v. Hillary.
Yes, I really think that.
It wasn't till Obama that social media was really even used in elections. Like Twitter and Facebook and the videos Obama, that was like the start of social media in elections. So we're only, if you think about it, 3 elections deep in social media. So I guess it's not a surprise that after the Obama social media campaign, which is very different from the traditional grassroots, like have your campaign event, which Trump still does. Don't get me wrong, he popularizes the campaign event. But so much more now is like so much more effectiveness occurs on social media. Think about it. You tweet one message or post one video that gets viewed by millions of people. How many people are showing up to your local event? Well, they're probably supporters anyway already. It's like you've got their vote anyway. They just want to meet you. And then maybe they're, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 people at an event. It's a drop in the bucket compared to, here's my immigration plan from Trump, which gets everybody talking because it gets New York Times headlines and everybody sees, like tens of millions of people see it. Now, in fairness, also, you get the clips of Trump that get shared. They get shared by people who support Trump or don't support Trump on social media. And I think actually that's the way it should be, is you should have the people on the left, like a David Pakman YouTube channel. Every day, this guy's famous. And I like David. I think he's a great guy. I think he's highly intelligent. Every day, it's, all right, we're going to react to the latest Donald Trump insanity. And then he goes through and shows the rallies and reacts to the insanity that he thinks is the insanity. Then on the flip side, you get, look what Donald Trump is saying. And it's the same thing, but posted by a right, wing activist. And it's like, this is great. Yeah, make America great. But I think that's what it should be. It's like, let everybody just freely talk about it. So I guess with this CTIL thing, it's almost like there's this desire to try to pressure, which we saw in the Twitter files, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, to de-platform or deprioritize or de-amplify messaging that this random group thinks is inappropriate. And that's scary. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we're no strangers to propaganda. Governments have always tried to sway public opinions. That's no different. I think the only difference here is, like you said, after Obama, which popularized the the social media campaign, very, very popular with the youth. I think a lot of youth showed up to vote for Obama, which traditionally isn't true with elections. A lot of the youth doesn't vote. I think they finally discovered that, the social media, the internet as a whole, is very powerful and can be weaponized. And so I don't think any of this is new. It's just new the playing field that we're playing it on.
Yeah,
Like the
no kidding.
arena.
And listen to how broad this is. They're quote EIP, announcing the EIP, Election Integrity Partnership. Ready for this? Platforms evaluated during EIP's operation. This sounds intense. We're going to do an operation to make sure the following platforms are doing things the way we want. Ready for this list? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Nextdoor, TikTok, Snapchat, Parler, Gab, Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram, Reddit, Twitch.
Everything people talk on, basically.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's literally everything. WhatsApp. What are you doing in WhatsApp? Isn't that like, I guess you have groups. You have WhatsApp groups, I guess. Just like you have Discord or Telegram groups. Okay. I guess there are groups in there. Initially, I was just thinking one-to-one messaging. And I'm like, that seems sus. But Parler, people actually, that even still exists.
I forgot about that.
I forgot about Parler. And I also can't believe they added Nextdoor. I mean, what do they want to know about, somebody's dog pissing in someone else's yard? Like that website is so toxic.
It's hilarious. You go on boomers fight each other. It's so funny.
Oh,
man.
it's such a bad platform. Nextdoor actually went public and they SPAC'd in April of 2021. They're only down 83%. So for a SPAC, they're actually not doing that bad.
Right. Yeah, relatively speaking. So I went through, this is a huge document. This is hundreds of pages, but I kind of parsed through it today. I mentioned I try to start some Discord debates and
what are you hearing?
Yeah, so here's some of the key findings that I'm finding from this. So again, this started as a volunteer project. This was supposed to be a bunch of do-gooders. So
that line just sounds ridiculous.
Do-gooders?
Do-gooders, yeah.
As far as government, private sector involvement, so the document describes this partnership between military and intelligence agencies, and then commercial media and civil society organizations. And so what they revealed in here is tactics like using sock puppet accounts and other techniques. So a sock puppet account is basically like creating a fake online persona, and they were suggesting using fake names whenever possible. They used the "this person does not exist" website to generate images and use those for their profiles.
Sure.
So they're not really bots. It's just posting, pretending to be something other than what you are to try to kind of spread whatever your point of view is. And as far as censorship, over 100 government agencies and NGOs were implicated in urging citizens on social media platforms against spreading propaganda. Mentioned the DHS was involved in this. Cybersecurity,
Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Wow.
And CISA, the Cybersecurity Information Security Agency, they played a central role. A National Science Foundation funded a lot of the development of the code for what they were using. So this is a very, very big operation.
Yeah, that is. It seems that way. And if you, one of the earlier parts in this document, they actually have a list of the organizations involved, and one of the big ones involved is the Stanford Internet Observatory. I mean, they've got 50 names on here or whatever. And they have a blog on the Stanford Law website where they regularly go deep into how misinformation spreads on YouTube channels and how they can provide create cult followings and spread disinformation, misinformation. But should Stanford be the one that's involved in flagging these channels? Is it the responsibility of really liberal institutions to moderate this? Or is it really, should we go back to the root of the problem, which is individual people should be empowered for their own success by understanding financial education and being able to get ahead in life? Because a lot of times the people who are capable of getting manipulated by extremists are people who are lost themselves, or there's a mental health problem, or there's the inability to have learned critical thinking in schools, because a lot of our schools suck. So where do you start? mean, I personally think you start at the schools, but
Yeah.
as opposed to sort of like almost deputizing these individual groups. But I don't know. Maybe you need both. Do you need both? I hope not.
The last few days since McKay and the team have been out doing real estate stuff, I've been having a lot of talks with Ken, and pretty much everything we talk about comes back to like education, like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
individual education. And what I learned, so I did an international baccalaureate program back in high school, and what they really ingrained, I could still hear my teacher shouting this at me, is the critical thinking involves kind of 4 things. OPVL would be the way to remember it.
PPO.
So O is origin. Anytime you read something, where did this come from,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Did somebody fund this? What's the website, right? Then you have values. Like, is this a first person account? Like, even if it's a biased source, there's going to be some values in it.
Yep.
And then OPV. So, I skipped P. That's the purpose, right? Are they trying to sell me something? Is this purely informative? Is this a political campaign? Like, what's the purpose?
They want a donation for
Yeah.
a cause or whatever. That's interesting.
And then the
Okay.
last one is limitation. So that's when you go, okay, this was not a first person source, or this was an account from somebody who was
A
on
rumor.
drugs or whatever, or a
Yeah,
rumor. Yeah,
yeah.
whatever it is. So you always have to take those 4. Like, no source is going to be purely unbiased. No source is going to be completely false either. It's all going to be a spectrum.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's probably more the solution here is very Elon Musky, which is just put it all out there, and I even think about science. Like, so many people have become, dare I say, like, disgusted by the word science when it comes to medicine or vaccines or whatever, and I think the way that happens is we get a society that says, okay, we're told this is good and it's definitely good. And then it turns out, oh, wait, it's not definitely good. Or COVID definitely came from this. And then, oh, wait, it didn't actually definitely come from this. It may have come from this. Part of me is like, well, if they are just transparent up front, like, here's the vaccine. We just don't really know. Like, here, we tried for 6 months. Everything seems good. You want it or not, and let people kind of make their own choices. I think that would be a lot more useful, but would anybody want that kind of transparency in the time of panic? Like, in the middle of March of 2020, do we want to hear a government that's like, okay, this was a lab leak and China is weaponizing viruses that are now killing all the people around you? Is that just going to cause mass pandemonium, or I think that's the word. Pandemonium.
There you
Pandemonium,
go.
that's it.
We did it together.
Is that going to cause mass chaos, basically, to say, oh yeah, China's weaponizing viruses through selective breeding of the sickest monkeys in labs, and then the most sick one releases this virus that's really, really powerful for the first 9 months, COVID 1, then Delta, and then all of a sudden here's welcome to reality. It's not just COVID anymore, and it goes back to sort of more severe flu or regular kind of flu level kind of disease, because now it's in nature rather than and replicating in nature rather than only replicating in this Chinese lab. But had everybody known that in March of 2020, would people have freaked out that the Chinese are basically trying to kill everybody? There's a good chance of that.
There's possible.
Yeah.
Your comment about science in general, I feel like people today misuse it. It's almost like an appeal to higher authority. Like, well, science says this, and
But science is wrong all the
really.
time.
Well, science,
And that's the point of science. You make a hypothesis and then you test it, and then you're wrong, and then you become less wrong and less wrong and less wrong, and you try to come to a better direction. I think when people hear science, I think they're thinking math, like 2 + 2 is 5.
Sure.
It's not 2 + 2 is 5. It's 2 + 2 is 4. Like, that's a fact. We could fight that, right? Whereas with science, it's like we think 2 + 2 is 5, let's say, but then, oh no, it's actually 4, and you publish your research along the way. I think that's what's frustrating, is this combination of, oh, science must be like math, it must be so set in stone, but it's not. It's very fluid, and we're still really early with, I think, our scientific discoveries. Like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong, like, all the technology and stuff we have, but I don't know, what is this all old? Like 100 years old,
people are obviously biased. Scientists are people, so scientists are biased. So the whole point of the scientific method is to try to find a process that we use to logic our way through something and remove that bias from it.
Yeah, I like that word, the process. Yeah, and unfortunately, bias affects that process, because if you're a vaccine manufacturer and you're Pfizer, right, and Moderna's like, they're about to release their drug, well, we better release ours too. Because otherwise you're just not going to make money and you won't survive. And so then it's like, oh, but that sucks. Like, should those kind of businesses, those entities have that power to say, well, we're going to slam this through the FDA approval processes because A, competition, and B, profit. But wait a minute, that could also kill people. Now, I like what I think was also fascinating is I watched the FDA approval hearings live when they were happening because they announced the vaccines like 5 days after the election. Certainly not at all
Weird coincidence,
purposely
man.
timed
Weird coincidence.
to be right after the election. Not timed at all. Not that they were expecting another massive stimulus check. And who is going to give another massive stimulus check for pharma? Biden or Trump? When should we release our vaccine? After the election or before? Anyway, so not assuming that there's any coincidence there at all. After a few weeks after they announced that they had the vaccines, we had the vaccine approval panels with the FDA. And this was like a Zoom call. And I don't know all of these people's credentials, but it looked like just a generic Zoom call of like a seniors class. And, rather than talking and debating about what we're having for dinner tonight, they were talking about whether or not to approve the vaccine. And now part of me here, I'm obviously being somewhat silly, but what drove me crazy was there wasn't a lot of this intense discussion over, okay, well, let's talk about this patient who had a heart reaction or whatever. It was, well, it is the opinion of the chair that the vaccine is probably better than no vaccine. So let's approve it. And that was basically like summarizing 2 to 3 hours of the vaccine approval panel at the FDA. And I'm like, wait, there should be more to this, right? So I don't know. I guess I see everybody's frustrations, and I don't know the answer, but I don't think the CTIL censorship body, that kind of stuff, is a good. You know how you could have something like that be good is if maybe you had, how Twitter does community notes.
Mm-hmm.
What if you had like little unfold community notes? But it was like, hey, here's the government's version of the community note. Here's Twitter's version of the community note. And, I don't know, here's the the community notes is basically the open source one, which I like. But what if there was like a government community note right under that? And then they're like, okay, here's the CTIL version of it. Do you put that under there? But then do you have to balance the government with another organization, or do you just have community notes? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to balance it necessarily. But again, putting in the historical context here, 2016, people were questioning the integrity of the election, right?
Yeah.
People were questioning a lot of that kind of stuff, even since back then, like questioning government and all that.
Well, yeah, as soon as Hillary lost, it was a rigged election. As soon as Trump lost, it was a rigged election. And every, Milei, who just won in Argentina, he's like, I don't know, man, I'm starting to see signs of voter fraud. This is going to be a rigged election.
And you won. And it's like, never mind.
As soon as he won, he never brought it up again. I mean, that's just, that I feel like that's just the game these days. It's like, officer, why'd you pull me over? Oh, you ran a stop sign. I didn't run a stop sign. Like, election's rigged.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just the natural defense. That's what you think, that it's not rigged. I think it's rigged until I win.
I think the idea of having the government footnote is good. It's just the problem is the people who need the note the most aren't going to believe it because, well, this is from the government, right?
Right. And so I wonder then, should you just not have the government note at all, or should you have just the community note? I do like community notes. The problem is there's just not enough community noting, or the community notes take like 4 days to show up. But the life cycle of a tweet on X is, it goes viral, it's dead within 24 hours. Now, X is doing this great thing where now they notify you if you commented on, liked, or bookmarked a tweet, and it gets community noted 4 days later. You'll actually get a notification that it was community noted. But sometimes the community notes, they also have that sort of like Twitter bias in them. So, and I'm not necessarily saying that's bad, but sometimes you'll see, oh, well, we're going to use this wiki over here to defend Elon. I've got to find a concrete example. And it's okay. They'll throw that information on there, but the community note community is also probably leaning a little bit more right, a little bit more pro Elon. So there is some bias in the community noting. So that's why I'm wondering, do you have a second layer? Or is that, no, just keep the government out of it. If they want to publish something, they do a press release. but then nobody reads the press releases.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the tough thing.
You're right.
So like that's why the government feels like they have to do stuff like the CTIL because their platform isn't actually that good. Like if Biden did a daily, course members live stream, but it was like a citizen live stream, like nobody would watch it. Like even the press conferences they hold every day with their press secretary, nobody watches it.
And I think that's actually the biggest issue with this. Like, okay, let people decide if they want to watch it or not. Say like, we're the government, this is our belief, whatever, people can watch it or not. The problem is they didn't do that, and they basically went for an entity. Like, what if Community Notes gets taken over by the Biden administration because they're seeing all of this right wing?
And then they don't tell us.
That
would be bad.
Yeah, so these are like shadow organizations that are doing the bidding for the government, and they're doing censorship and all this stuff that, in a true democracy, and like these are the values that we uphold like closer than anything else. And then when the government doesn't lie about it, but they omit the truth, basically, it comes off as bad once the truth actually comes out, right? Like now you're questioning everything. It's almost like the Streisand effect.
Yes.
You're trying to get people to trust the government, so you do all these notes everywhere, and then it comes out that you did it, and now nobody trusts you because you're being sketchy.
Yeah. Well, it's because anytime there's this amplification of the bias, people start losing trust. I found an example. It's not the best example, but it's just a quick one I was able to find. So CZ's account was restricted for a brief period of time. It looked like he did a name change or something, and then it went restricted. So his account goes restricted, and then somebody posts a screenshot. The Watcher Guru posts a screenshot. Says, Justin, ex-Binance CEO's account has been restricted. Community Notes replies and says, no, it's not restricted. You could still follow him here. And I'm like, Community Notes just gaslit that creator because I literally saw with my own eyes it was restricted. So why didn't Community Notes say, yes, it was restricted. It's back now. Here's possibly why the account was restricted. Name change, request from the SEC, whatever. But gaslighting now just makes everybody feel even worse. When I saw that, I personally thought, okay, this is not what you want with Community Notes. You don't want gaslighting because then you start losing trust in Community Notes, and that's bad. And that's why I wonder if you had like competition amongst the Community Notes, who had the better Community Notes, and the public could vote up or down or whatever. Well, the government ones would always get voted down, but have it be unfoldable. Like here's the Biden administration's take on this, right? Whatever.
It's every time a good idea comes up, if Community Notes becomes like the de facto truth, that's the one that everyone trusts, it's going to start getting manipulated. Bots are going to start, like anytime there's something of value that's now powerful, that it's going to get manipulated one way or another. So I don't know the answer. I don't know how to solve this.
It's tough. I do think Community Notes is a step in the right direction. There are going to be cases though where obviously there's going to be some bias in there, but there's bias in everything. So I think that's where, as a user, though, we have to look at even Community Notes and go, is that the full story? You have to say that about everything. And that's just going to get worse and worse and worse as time goes on. You can't trust anything anymore. Sad.
Yeah, especially with AI, and we'll get to some AI at the end of the segment, but like you can fake people's voices, you can animate stuff. Like people already question, is that really Trump speaking? Is that really Biden speaking? Or is this AI? And think about how difficult that is. Like even with Photoshop, when that was a thing, people started questioning everything. Is this Photoshopped? Is this not Photoshopped? Like it gets harder to tell as time goes on.
I mean, it's even just like it's gotten so easy now because you go on Instagram or TikTok, you could just record a little what looks like raw selfie video, but you have the beautify filter on. I don't go on there. I don't beautify myself, but girls certainly do. And every single girl on social media just looks perfect, and it's like Barbie face. Well, it's all like smoothed out and de-strengthed from the camera so that your skin looks softer, and everything just looks so surreal, but it looks so good. And if you're not aware of that feature, which most people don't post on social, they use social. I would say everybody's probably got some form of social media on their phone. I would guess maybe 1% of people are actively posting. And so that means you don't necessarily know about all the latest tools that make it so riggable. Riggable. Is that a word?
It's basically like false marketing, right? You're on some dating app and yeah. I've never used a dating app, by the way, but I'm assuming people use beautify filters 100%. And stuff like that on those.
I mean, everything. I mean, even you just go into like Lightroom and just make quick adjustments of you know, whether I always go into Lightroom, and if I edit real estate photos, for example, what we'll do is we'll take away some of the grain of the photo. We bump the lighting of the shadows and reduce the highlights, and it makes everything look nicer. But it's also, it starts leaving reality a little bit.
Yeah.
Then, you know, it's like when you look at those brand new construction home photos, you're like, oh, those photos look so good. And you get there and it's like, oh, it doesn't look the way it did in the photo.
Yeah, agreed.
You know? Anyway.
So with this entity, with the CTIL, I mentioned it was started kind of as like people who were trying to do a benevolent thing, right? People just trying to help.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, with my background in cybersecurity, that is the truth with a lot of people who get into cybersecurity, is they are trying to do the right thing.
Did you hear about the Fidelity hack?
No.
So Fidelity National Title, they're like one of the biggest, they think it's ransomware. See if you could find us something on it. They're one of the biggest title companies. And what's crazy about Fidelity is they own like the title services of like 20 different subsidiaries or affiliated businesses. Like I think Chicago Title. You think it's a different company? I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure Fidelity owns Chicago. So any title policy written through Chicago just ends up at Fidelity. So you fact check on me. But Fidelity owns like a spider web of all these different title companies, you know, whether it's lawyers or Chicago or whatever. They own a spider web of a bunch of different ones. They got hacked. And every escrow company's like, we can't do wires. We can't close real estate transactions. We can't process funds. I think we got like $4,000 in one of our escrow companies exposed to that hack.
Wow.
Fortunately, it's only like $4K, but we were about to wire a lot more money to close the deal. All that stuff's obviously insured by the you know, companies and stuff. But it's interesting because it's like that's like literally in our face of a title company in real estate. That's pretty unheard of.
Yeah, this is it looks like Black Cat claimed responsibility. That's a hacker entity that well, they basically, it's almost like they'll charge you for ransomware. Like they'll do ransomware. They help their friends with ransomware. They like demand bribes and stuff. They're a pretty notorious group in the hacker community. But so, well, speaking of that, so the three people who basically formed the CTIL, we have Ohad Zeidenberg, who he's former Israeli intelligence official. Zeidenberg, I keep thinking Zoidberg every time I read this. A Microsoft security manager named Nate Warfield. And this one shocked me. The head of SecOps for DEF CON, which is a hacker convention. His name is Mark Rogers. And I know Mark. I used to work at Cloudflare with Mark.
Wow.
I know Mark pretty well.
Small world.
So
we got to get him on the pod.
I messaged him, but he might be in the UK right now. I try to get him on. He's kind of who I had in mind with, like, the community generally tries to do the right thing. They're passionate about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think when this was started, this was a good thing. But like I mentioned earlier, as soon as something comes of value, like the government wants to get their hands in it.
Yeah. I mean, like, you get a call 2 years ago, you know, before the Twitter files, and it's like, hey, this is the FBI. You know, the first thing is like, hey, yes, you know, or like maybe say not 2 years ago, say like 3 years ago, before J6, when that was less popular to like the FBI. Like before this, all this latest knowledge or whatever we want to call it, or allegations came out. You know, you get a call from these agencies. It's like, okay, we don't want to screw around with them because, you know, what if they hurt our business model or our livelihoods, or what if they sue us? You know, like, people say that's the same thing that's happening to Elon. They're like, well, he keeps getting sued by the SEC because they're trying to force him to do stuff. I mean, the last lawsuit I saw from the SEC is they just wanted to talk to the poor guy. But so I don't know. Sometimes we do know that Elon likes to sometimes take things a little too far.
Sure.
But okay, you know, sometimes I do too. So point of that is, it kind of makes sense that a company or an entity that would have started as a good could have easily gotten corrupted by those phone calls and like, oh, this is great. We could delete whatever tweets we want. And then, like in the Twitter files, you get an email from the FBI. Yeah, we need you to look into this tweet as well. And then, no problem, done. And it's deleted. It's weird.
You know, to kind of come to Mark's defense on this, when he was at Cloudflare, when we were at Cloudflare, we got a gag order from, which it's since been, you know, released. We can talk about this. But we got a gag order. I believe it was from the FBI. It was one of the U.S. three-letter organizations, and it demanded information from, from one of our customers. I don't think I can say which, but from one of our customers. Yeah. And it was something where we looked through it. Mark and our legal team looked through it and went, no. So we responded, and we're basically like, screw off. We're not
like,
going
we're
to
not
do
giving
that.
you this information.
We're not giving
some kind of subpoena or whatever. Okay.
And long story short, it ended up going to court and we ended up winning.
Wow.
So like again, like doing the
But
right
you
thing.
had to fight.
We had to fight it, yeah.
Which on one hand is good for the brand, because if you pull what was that the safe company that just got exploded on social media, Liberty Safe. So Liberty Safe, I think the FBI is like, oh, we have a warrant and we need the lock codes for somebody's safe, and they handed them over. And so everybody on Twitter is like, okay, cancel Liberty Safe, like that shouldn't be on you to comply with the government's request. So you have this weird place you're in, like what you just described at Cloudflare, where you have to decide, okay, well, if we comply, it's easier for us because we don't have to fight for 2 years in courts. If we don't comply, we have to fight for 2 years in courts, but we're doing what we think is best for the protection of our customer. And that's where, honestly, Apple wins again the 4D chess move, because Apple goes, we would comply with you. We just don't have a way to. They literally won the 4D chess of cybersecurity. Apple, give us the iPhone unlock code. We would love to. We don't know it.
Uh-huh.
Well, there has to be a back door. Nope. It's so secure, there's no back door. What? How could you make a phone with no back door? We did.
Do you think that's changed since then?
No.
Good.
I don't think so. I mean, I hope not. But I think if that has changed, Apple would it would be a bad day for Apple. But that's one of the things people love is this. Hey, that's almost what a company should be. Is like, hey, if you want something from a customer, go get it from them. There's nobody else who's just going to go give your stuff up. I don't know. Find it interesting.
Well, before we move on, unless you have something else to add.
Yeah. No.
The two things that Mark Rogers kind of most known for is, number one, he was the guy who hacked the Tesla Model S in like 2015 or whatever on stage. That's that guy. And then the other thing he's known for, Ken, could you throw this on the screen? Mark is spelled with a C. So he went to Starbucks and said, my name is Mark with a C, and they wrote Kark. And this went viral. I still see this come up on my feed all the time. It's the same dude. So Mark Rogers, living legend. We'll see if we can add him onto the pod if he ever responds to my Facebook.
Mark with a C, Kark. Oh.
Yeah, dude's a legend. Anyway, that's all I had on the cybersecurity censorship issue.
All right. I think we got Patrick Bet David, eh?
Yeah, you want to react to that? Let me get that.
Yeah.
launched.
So what? Patrick Bet David. I think they do great work. They've got some comments on Disney that were pretty popular. Let's see the best parts of this and get Bet David's view on Disney. Disney stock has come off its lows, but it's been plummeting. A lot of people are concerned that Disney is no longer aligned with the mission of providing great new content to children. Which it's like that's what you should be doing. Like you need like to be replicating the kind of stuff that people like Mr. Beast are doing. Because what's Mr. Beast doing? He's entertaining, quite frankly, children and families. And is that not the point of Disney? So I think Disney's got to step it up a little bit here. But I'm really curious to see Bet David's take on Disney. And we know he's one of the more staunch anti-woke folks, so I'm kind of curious.
He has some spicy opinions, but
okay,
I'll let you react to his take on this here.
So let's talk about Disney and Marvel. So Disney admits its left-wing policies hurt shareholders. In new SEC filing, Disney is now admitting that it's been slapped by its own customers for its far-left social and political agenda. Legal expert Jonathan Turley wrote in the recent column, Disney's SEC filing, we face risks relating to misalignment with the public and consumer tastes and preferences for entertainment, travel, and consumer products, which impact demand for entertainment offering and products and that profitability of any of our businesses. We face risk related to changes in our business strategy or restructuring of our business, which has affected and may continue. This past summer, Disney stock had hit a 9-year low with its marketing cap falling from $350 billion in March of 2022 to $154 billion, a decline of, Vinny, you ready? They lost $196 billion in 1 year.
What?
$196 billion, a 56% drop off.
We just need somebody to sit in the corner and go, what?
Yo!
What? Mind blown. Wait a minute, though. Like, okay, over the last year, Disney stock is down 2%. Over what time frame did they say? It was,
I think they're talking 10 years.
I mean, if you go from peak, let's just go peak. Okay. So peak stock was $200. So yeah, they're down a little more than 50%. But I like using percentages because I don't think billions and stuff really are super relatable. It makes it sound like a lot, but like if you consider this, Microsoft's market cap fluctuates by $200 billion like every 3 days. It's like I don't know that that's that big of a deal to elevate, but let's just say their stock has gone down. Okay, so what? A lot of stocks have gone down. Okay, let's keep going. So where's the opinion?
In a little over a year, and then at the same time, they're talking about what happened with Wish. Disney's animated musical comedy Wish has a disappointing box office debut, earning approximately $19.5 million over the 3-day Thanksgiving and $31.7 million to 5 days. This film marks Disney's 100th anniversary celebration, features a cosmic force named star and sharp-witted hero. When you see these types of things, and by the way, this is back to back to back to back to back. It's becoming a trend with Disney. You know, Bob Iger wrote a great book called The Ride of a Lifetime. And then he made the mistake of coming back. Okay.
That's right.
This guy comes back, and now the sequel of that book should be A Ride of a Lifetime with a shitty return. Okay.
I don't know if I agree with that. Like Bob Iger is coming back to try to save Disney.
Yeah.
He's not coming back because he has to. The guy's wealthy beyond anyone can imagine. And by the way, where Patrick Bet-David is reading this from appears to be from some kind of analyst or news publication. I went straight to the source, which is the 10K. This is Disney's annual report. It's on page 18 of the annual report. It's just a risk factor. This is not like, I think when people see like what happened is, and people do this, they'll take a risk factor out of the risk factors list in an SEC disclosure, and they'll go, aha, here's the truth. And it's kind of like with HouseHack, you know, we have a risk disclosure, like all of our tenants might like stop paying or whatever, right? Like we have tenant risk. And then somebody could take that out of context and go, Kevin thinks all of his tenants are going to stop paying, right? So we have to remember where this is coming from. It's a risk disclosure. But I think what Patrick Bet-David here is saying is it's interesting that they've included it now. From a legal point of view, CYA, you have to. Mm-hmm. There's clearly been backlash over, for example, who was it? It was The Little Mermaid was no longer going to be white. That was a big deal for a while, and I don't know, some other things. We face risks relating to misalignment with public and consumer taste. But isn't that true of any entertainment company? Like if Taylor Swift came out with music today, a new album, and it was back to country, back to her roots, I bet you that country tour, well, it's Taylor, so maybe I'd be wrong about this, but I wouldn't be surprised if, or she came out with some kind of genre that nobody liked, okay? She had a terrible album.
That's
that
country,
is a risk. That's a fair risk.
I was like, country. Yeah.
That's a risk. So, of course, any company faces a misalignment with public and consumer taste risk. But anyway, okay, so that's where it's coming from. I like framing my head around what they're trying to say. Okay, go ahead.
Why do you think Disney, knowing that this is happening, they continue doing it? Or is it the fact that the pipeline of these movies have taken 3 to 5 years to make, that they're kind of like, let's get all these shitty movies out and then we'll change our philosophy next year, but it's going to take us 3 to 5 years to recover with the next movies that are going to come out?
Well, I think there's a lot there to unpack. First, I'll say, is any of it Bob Iger's fault? Of course it is. Right. But Bob Iger wasn't uninvolved in setting the stage for what was going to come after him. You know, you're not Bob Iger and then shocked and dismayed to figure out who they replace you with. So yeah, Bob Iger put a lot of this in.
What years was Bob Iger there, by the way?
I was just looking at that. 2020 to 2022. So during COVID, which honestly, Chapek was there between 2020 and 2022. Iger a lot longer. And obviously he's back now. Iger has been CEO since 2005. Yeah, since 2005. So he's been there for 15 years. So I feel bad for Chapek because he had to go through managing this company during COVID. So that sucks. I do know that one of the things that employees at Disney, just from anecdotal evidence, were frustrated by was this race towards competing with Netflix rather than focusing on the theme parks and the cruises. But in fairness, the theme parks and cruises got crushed during COVID. The theme parks and cruises, they make a lot of money for Disney. The streaming and competing with Netflix does not yet. And I think that created a lot of frustration within Disney too. of like, okay, well, like what are we going to do here? Are we turning into Netflix 2.0, or are we going to keep doing what we're good at and make money at, which is the parks and theme parks? And Bob was probably somewhat squeezed into that because of COVID. So I think we have to remember COVID as a timeline too for his term. But let's see what else Patrick here is saying and what his team is saying.
Plus, yes, one of the great executives of our time. As to why he came back, does Michael Jordan still play basketball? It's almost impossible to ever walk away from the thing that you're uniquely gifted at. And we see it with professional athletes all the time, that they come back after their heyday and do poorly, but they can't walk away from the game. So I get that he can't walk away from the game, and he can't walk away from his legacy, and he's a greater executive than anybody at this table will ever be. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't made his billion-dollar mistakes, and I think he's dealing with one right now. Yes, the window of time that it takes for these things to come out is a huge part of it.
Yeah. If
Disney decided today, we're only going to make movies about Bible stories, well, you wouldn't get one of those movies about Bible stories for 3 years. That's just the reality of what that process looks like. So that's part of what they're fighting against. But I think the biggest problem that they have, and I know this from many, many incredibly gifted people within Disney with whom I've spoken over the last year, they fired everyone who knows how to engage in traditional storytelling without all of this woke nonsense in it. They created such a bubble over there that even if Bob Iger does say, if Bob Iger came out today and said, we're not even going to release the crap, we're going to take the hit, and then starting on a day 3 years from today, we're going to relaunch Disney. He doesn't have the team to do it. He said recently, we've waded too far into politics, and now we're gonna not pick these controversial political fights anymore. The people actually working for him who have to effectuate that plan do not know the difference between the controversial things they believe and the uncontroversial things that they believe, because they exist within a company that's a bubble, within an industry that is a bubble, within a city that's a bubble, within a state that's a bubble.
Okay. I don't know, man. This is very one-sided listening to this person. Can we jump forward and go to Patrick? Because it's very clear this person is super the anti-woke move. And he might relate with the sentiments of a lot of folks, but I can't say with certain, like, I don't have the evidence to corroborate that this individual is correct in saying there's nobody left at Disney who's anti-woke. I don't know if that's true, and I question that that's true. I don't disagree that there has been a desire to be more inclusive at Disney, which is like the nicer way of saying, woke, I guess. And I don't think that inclusion is necessarily a bad thing. I don't think we should be anti-inclusion. Like, imagine if that was the word. Would people go around on Twitter, like they say, like, kill woke, go anti-woke, or whatever. Go woke, bro, go inclusion, go broke. Nobody says that. I think it's just the redefining of priorities of like, okay, why is the Little Mermaid no longer white? Why is that important? And how do we tell our children that you can now change your skin color when you're the Little Mermaid? And is that important? Is that the best way to introduce inclusion? Or can we just come up with a new line that doesn't go change people's skin colors? That's probably the better priority.
I think actually in the original Little Mermaid, there was Ariel had like a black mermaid friend. So I don't know, you could make a spin-off about that mermaid instead.
Good. I see. That's a great idea. And then you have a new storyline. And I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. Like, nobody's saying there can't be a black mermaid. It's just, why did the original one change colors?
Sure.
How do I explain that to a child?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's Patrick take?
Do you know what zombie companies are? Are you familiar with zombie
That's
companies?
his take on it.
So
you get where
zombie
this
companies
is going.
are.
Are you serious? That's it?
Their
he doesn't respond to the other
model.
I know. Okay. They don't make enough money to sustain their debt.
Yep.
But so Pat, that's so interesting. That is very interesting. The strategy here of Patrick Bet-David. So notice what he did. How interesting. He can't piss anyone off. It is impossible for Patrick Bet-David to piss anybody off. It's like, let me read you a section from the 10K, which says that Disney is struggling with, or there's a risk factor that Disney might be misaligned with customers. Then you get somebody who's clearly extremely anti-woke with not an ounce of balance. And then Patrick Bet-David, this kind of reminds me of companies that have too much debt and can't afford to pay the bills. It's bad to be highly indebted, right? You know who else is in debt? America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, I honestly, I feel like I should have watched this before because somebody sent it to me and they're like, oh, you should watch this. It's really important. And I'm like, okay, I want to react to it live. So we'll just react piece by piece to it live. I thought I was going to get like some juicy wisdom here. And all if anything I got was frustration that I didn't actually get Patrick's opinion. And I just got Mr. Anti-Woke's opinion, which I get it. I don't know, man. I'm actually disappointed by that clip.
I'm sorry.
So let's move on from that. I don't know. I'm disappointed.
I also think Disney's always been a little bit politically motivated one way or another. They show it differently in this new age, but even back historically, you watch some of their old cartoons or old movies. There's things in there.
Disney alignment, you know. And I think to some extent that you are going to get that in companies in that, hey, how can we drive social change in our view? I think now that is just becoming a lot more apparent.
Yeah.
you know? Like, I mean, think about the time Walt Disney was actually coming to popularity, and it was a time of straight segregation and lack of civil rights. You know, I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong about that?
No, that's accurate.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
if you watch those old Disney movies, cartoons, or even like stuff from Cartoon Network, Bugs Bunny and stuff like that, I actually like that they've done this. At the beginning of a lot of these episodes, there's going to be a disclaimer now that says, like, look, basically there's some stuff in here that's racist or whatever for that particular episode. And instead of editing it out or trying to work around it, we're going to show it to you the way it is and take into account like cultural and historical background before you watch it. And society changes over time.
And that's also, I think, what you find in cancel culture on social media too. Like, people go back to, like, you know, 2000, when everybody on Xbox Live was calling everybody else a C, a D, an F, you know, every freaking letter there is, you know, the G word, everything's the G word, right? And then now people get canceled over that stuff, like old recordings of that stuff. But then you look at it, it's like, but that was like society then. Like, everything was a word. And people didn't actually believe this stuff, but that was literally the stuff that was coming out of people's mouths all the time. And so we're just in a different time now. I can only imagine. I mean, that was less than 20 years ago. Well, it's about 20 years ago now. You go back to the 1950s, which is like 70 years ago. Of course, you're going to have some of that. We still buy properties now where the deed will be, if you're not white and either a doctor or of equivalent status, you cannot buy in this neighborhood.
Really?
They're deed restrictions. Deed restrictions that said this is a white neighborhood and you have to be a doctor or better to live here.
Still
today, yeah.
Wow.
And so, but what the title companies do now is they say, we do not provide any insurance for those sections or parts of deeds or conditions, covenants, and restrictions, CC&Rs in neighborhoods and stuff like that. So obviously that stuff doesn't have effect anymore, but it's still there.
Wow.
Yep. Crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's do Tesla. You know, Cybertruck delivery's coming up.
Oh, yeah. You know, Cybertruck Day. What? It's in 2 days, right?
Yeah, it's on Thursday.
That's crazy. And I thought it was going to be an evening event. I guess a lot of people thought it was going to be an evening event. I guess it actually starts at like 1 p.m. Martin V. I can't pronounce his last name. I met him for coffee once in Palo Alto. He's a really nice guy. He likes skiing too. But anyway, great guy. I mean, I've never met somebody bad at Tesla, like the employees over there. They all actually feel very happy about the mission of Tesla. Mm-hmm. That's why sometimes when I see Elon do knucklehead things, I try to think of the employees at Tesla and put myself in their shoes. And like, if I'm an employee and I'm rolling my eyes, like that, it makes, even if your next 2 days of work are 10% less productive, that just hurts the mission. You're just hurting the sustainable mission. Anyway, so, but again, like I said yesterday, I think we've hit bottom with Elon. Think about it. I actually think there is a chance this could be the worst quarter ever in Tesla's history. It is the quarter with the highest interest rates in Tesla's history. It is the quarter where you are literally incentivized not to buy a car this quarter. You're better off buying it January 1st to get the tax credit right away. And you're in a period of macroeconomic uncertainty with Elon being a knucklehead on social. Like, when you put all four of those things together, I feel like, I mean, the only thing that could top this off is Elon selling stock. Then you would, let's knock on wood that he does. But then you would legitimately have the definition of the worst quarters ever. The strike with Sweden. I mean, obviously, the court case on that was one, which is nice. But I guess there are other things too. You could have like China shutting down Shanghai again or something. I don't know. There are other things that could happen. But highest interest rates in Tesla's history. That's true. And the first time ever in Tesla's history, you were incentivized to wait for January when usually you're incentivized to buy in Q4.
Yeah,
those are big changes. Combine that with the some of the drama that's been going on. Maybe it's no surprise that all of the Magnificent Seven stocks are at their all-time highs, essentially, like Berkshire, Apple, Facebook, Meta, except for Tesla.
Then why was it up 4.5% today?
Because it has to play catch up. So people send me messages, and this is actually like, people don't understand this. It's one of the things I teach in the Psychology of Money course, actually. Link down below. People don't understand this, but the stock market is such that stocks go up. And then you'll look and you'll be like, my stocks are right here in the middle. And so, you look and everything around you is going up. You don't realize that it's actually the entire market is like a rubber band. You're attached to those other stocks with a rubber band. And the more these other stocks go up, the Microsoft, the Apple, the Coinbase, or whatever, and the more Tesla stays stuck in the mud, the stronger the tension on that stock to catch up to everyone else. And it'll happen very quickly and very rapidly. But what people screw up is they think, because my stock is rubber banded, well, they don't think about the rubber band. Because my stock is stuck in the mud, I must be an idiot. I must have made a mistake. I should sell my mistake and cut my losses and go buy what's doing well. So then they go Microsoft, Apple, or whatever. Then the rubber band effect kicks in. The one they sold comes up and the ones they bought comes down because of the rubber band effect. So they always end up getting screwed. So that's what's happening with Tesla.
Yeah.
So I actually think that means there's a substantial rubber band to the upside coming soon.
Possibly upside. Do you think short term there that might happen, or?
I'm very nervous about Q4. It's not something where I'm like, I think it's probably like one of the earnings calls I've never done it in the past that I can think of. I've never actually hedged, but it's like one of those where I'm like, do you hedge for Q4? I don't know. I hate options premium and hedge premium because I'm just like, it makes no difference, Kevin. Just leave it there. Just leave it there. It's fine. It doesn't matter, But yeah,
you can always sell some calls.
I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. I cannot part with the shares, damn it. I spent so much time over the last year and a half getting as many of these freaking shares as I could get my hand on. So I don't know. Anyway.
All right. Well, I got some Cybertruck leaks, so to speak. This is based on this individual that I have on Twitter or on x.com. And this is based on the last update to the Tesla app, which has some more information in here on Cybertruck. So we got standard wheels being 18-inch and apparently 20-inch rims available as well, which the design is subtle different. This is what the 18 looks like, and this is the 20. Actually, I think the 18 looks pretty good for...
both of them are not bad. And I think they're like little rubber edges on the side, too. It's harder to curb them, which I curb all the time.
I'm embarrassed to say I've curbed mine as well. But look at this. They got Tesla accessories coming up, it looks like. This is some sort of tent.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, you're not doing that?
No, I'm not doing that.
It's for the camping crowd, I guess.
Okay.
And then apparently the belief is that there's going to be 3 tire and rim packages. So the 18, the 20s, and then something possibly bigger than that. I don't really know. But that's basically what I have. And then there's just some like graphics from the app. But I was really interested in this, that like Tesla's actually going to be...
What do we have more details on this?
All we got is this. It's just a 3D model from the actual Tesla app that you can pull out if you can pull out the code for the Tesla
But the
app.
bed is not conditioned.
What do you mean?
Your air conditioning is in the front, in the cabin portion. Unless is there a window? Because maybe there's a window in between where I can get the heating elements.
We'll probably find out on Thursday, but my hunch is there is, because I would expect people from the inside of the truck to be able to grab stuff in the back when the tonneau cover's closed. So I think they will make it with some sort of divider. That's
that would be cool, because if you don't have air conditioning or heating, basically, then you're screwed, because then you're just in a metal tin can, basically, steel can.
It's just, at that point, that's just a tent.
At that point,
that's a regular tent. Just get a regular tent. Yeah.
Just put it on the floor at that point. Yeah, that's true. No, that is true. Yeah, if you could get that battery, because don't you say you use yours in like campfire mode or whatever, and you could use it for hours or whatever?
I love it. I've gone, Franny and I have like overlanded in the vehicle, basically like car camped.
What's overlanded?
car camping.
Okay.
Like when you camp inside of your car, you don't leave your car.
Okay. All right.
And we'll knock down the rear seats. So with the big trunk space in the rear seats, you get a really big flat area.
Flat, yeah.
And then I have this mattress that unfolds and covers the space perfectly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Turn on climate control, even on the cold nights when it's like 30, 40 degrees. I lose about 10% a night.
What?
Yeah.
All night,
Yeah.
10% battery?
Model Y long range. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy because like, you know, if you leave a gas car on, well, first of all, you do it in a garage, you die.
You die, yeah.
Small detail. And you do it out in the wilderness or whatever. It's noisy. You catch leaves on fire. You know, that's sometimes how forest fires start. It's just the exhaust of cars.
I never thought about that.
In very, very dry summers or fire seasons, cars or like catalytic converters, like little sparks occur as cars drive like off a road they got off a highway and turn slightly into a dirt road or whatever, and leaves catch fire, and then you have a forest fire. Well, you know, spreads. But anyway, that's very interesting. 10% all night. If you could do that with the Cybertruck, see, now that's cool because now you could put a mattress down in a part that's already flat.
Uh-huh.
So you don't even have like, I guess if you have a thick enough mattress, it doesn't matter. But you know, you put seats down. There's like the divot between the headrest and the next seat.
Also, the bed that I use for that
Yeah.
actually has like wooden support at the bottom there, so it like extends it all the way to the back.
Oh,
of the
so did you get
seats.
something custom for this?
No, there's quite a few different third
Oh, it
parties
just has
that
a
make
frame,
it. But yeah,
basically.
just on the top part for that issue.
For
that
that reason.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good idea. How much was that?
Oh, it was a few $100.
That's not bad.
It also came with little privacy things, so I'll like stick these privacy covers all around my windows, windshield back, and then you can leave the cameras on so no one can see you, but you can still see
Oh,
out.
come on. That's sick.
I love it.
Oh, that's sick. So
Yeah.
you have your own like Sentry surveillance while you're camping. See, that's actually kind of cool. See, that's better than camping on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Because like you set up a tent. I've done it before. Like the floor sucks because it's like you got sticks and rocks and stuff you're trying to sleep on. Even with a sleeping bag, it's just annoying. So you do a mattress at the back. Okay, maybe I'm being too jaded. Like maybe that's not a bad idea. What's this roof thing though?
I don't know. This like it's just a 3D image that was pulled out of the app, so I can't give you any
Nobody's
more
actually
details than
wait
this.
pulled out of the app. What do you mean? What app?
The Tesla app.
What?
So a lot of these, like a lot of the leaks that have been coming out, basically they'll put stuff in the app that's not really available if you scroll through the app. But if you pull out basically the source, so to speak, like you could see all these 3D images without much rhyme or reason to them. And this is one of them. And I mean, looking at it, you can pretty accurately guess that this is a Cybertruck
Oh, for
extension.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Okay.
that's all we got to work
Oh,
with.
so so people are leaking things from the app.
Yeah.
So the accessories that you can buy when you go to accessorize your
Yeah.
Cybertruck.
This is the image for it that we'll probably see on the app pop up, after Thursday or whenever they decide to finally start making
That is
these.
kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What else? Let's see here. Let's look at the comments for a second. Somebody says, "Oh, I know this account. Hello, you PC Utah. Overlander app is great for camping spots." We've got somebody says Kevin's voice is becoming annoying. Becoming? I thought
Y'all late.
a little late to the game, man. I can't even listen to myself. Can't wait for the hype and dump, says somebody. Are you cyber hyped? Oh, dear Lord. What else? Anything else?
You're a rock star. You're not the average businessman.
Did somebody say that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Brandon.
All right, cool. All right. Anything
Okay.
else? Is that it?
I got one more really exciting thing before we go.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got some more AI news.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's crazy how fast this stuff is accelerating. And I found a new thing on X.com today. That
Yesterday we were animating birds and skies and making movies. So what are we doing today?
we're
Taking over the world.
full-fledged movies at this point. Like, so I'm already on the wait list for this. You can pop this up on the screen. I'm on the wait list for Pika because this was crazy. You basically type in the prompt and a few other things, and it creates a video for you. Like, look at this. We gonna take it to that. This is all AI. Wow.
So, what is it?
This is Pika AI.
Pika AI.
Pika.
.ai, I'm guessing. Pika AI or whatever. And basically you could throw, Pika.art. Oh, how
Yeah,
interesting.
that's right. That's it.
So you throw in an idea to video platform, join the wait list. Oh, it's preview here. That's very interesting. just from marketing POV for even just B-roll in videos. Like, I want something crazy, like, 27 variations of market crash. And you just literally have the New York Stock Exchange falling. Wow. Okay. Wow.
Let me show you the rest of this. Like, it's only a 1 minute ad, but
I'll see it.
this is mind blowing. There's your variations.
Wow.
Watch this.
Oh.
Right. And then right after this too. Clothing. Isn't this crazy? So either this is the best marketing ever and it's going to be a crap product, or this is going to be cool as all heck and I can't wait to get onto the wait list or onto the actual list.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just even from honestly, what I thought was great is I get these vertical videos all the time, and I'm like, oh, could it just be horizontal, please? I just want to expand vertical videos. We got to make an app. We've turned the most viral TikToks into horizontal videos, and it's just the AI to fill in the sides.
Watch this one too. This is, well, I'll speed through this one. This is like a commercial that it made. Let me turn this down just a little bit. This is a commercial it made. But this is based on a real commercial. And so here it puts them side by side. The original one shot with real cameras, took a real team of people, took a lot of money, took a lot of time. Right one, couple of minutes with an AI prompt.
Holy smokes. Nobody would know the difference. The right one looks better in some shots. Oh, yeah, for sure. Unbelievable. Dude, if I were a cinematographer and I saw that, I would be wetting myself. Like,
yeah.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I would be pooping myself. That's okay.
The original took 30 people and about a month to produce. The AI-driven remake was accomplished by one individual in less than 1 day.
Yeah, no, like this is, it's crazy because, I mean, I know good cinematographers will always have a job in filmmaking somewhere, somehow. But what you're doing is you're starting to cut away at the margin. Right. So if you have 100 filmmakers, the bottom 20 just got cut, the 20 to 30, like person number 20 to 30, they're now having to compete with that, marketing agencies who are willing to do that. So they lose their job. And a lot of these people are 1099. They're not on salaries. So they get a phone call, or actually, they just don't get a phone call. That's how it works. It's kind of like, hey, they're calling you, need a cinematographer? Nope. Just got out 3 TV commercials in 3 days.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Speak up, baby.
You just need someone to oversee it, someone with an artistic vision who knows what sells.
You need editors. You still have editors who can put it all together and make because the AI doesn't do text. So all that text they're showing, I'm sure
it's overlaid with
it's just overlaid.
Yeah.
But that's easy. Jack can do that. He's 8. Like that's not that hard. Here's the font, type the words, and he'll just use Siri.
Yeah. This blew my mind.
This is really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. It's funny. I sent it is also scary, just like how much data these corporations and everything have on us. Yeah, I texted Lauren yesterday, I was in the room with Lauren yesterday. I'm talking to her something about this, and she says, "Oh, you should GPT that." And she says that, shouts it to me as kind of like I'm walking away. So I had closed the door already. And then I take my phone to reply to what she shouted, like GPT that. And then I use Siri and go, I would never tell Siri about my personal issue in this or whatever. And it's sent with Siri. It's just the irony of it, right? Because like they're listening to everything anyway. So kind of freaky.
When I say stuff and then I see it like on a Google ad afterwards, that's kind of freaky. But dude, these ads are so good. Like sometimes I swear I've never said it out loud. I just think of something and I'll see it later and it's like, yo, what gives?
It's getting weird, man. 10 other people who have searched the same things as Mikey also then ended up being interested in this. That's probably honestly how the AIs are pulling
I think you're on the right track. Yeah. It just takes a bunch of data, noticing patterns, putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, if there's a 90% chance that every dude between the age of 32 and 35 is going to end up being curious about XYZ, then if they figure out you're a dude between 32 35, they may as well just send you that stuff. So maybe that could be a way, especially just with how big data, which we now call AI, is putting all this together and drawing these inferences. It's really impressive. And this is exactly why this Pika video we just saw right here, you know what that's going to benefit? NVIDIA, baby.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that is like every single marketing agency should be sitting making Pika videos every freaking day as part of their whatever marketing they're doing, whether they're, it's TikTok B-roll, YouTube, the creator economy, it's for Netflix. It doesn't matter what it is. Oh, we need a crazy shot of this. Oh, just Pika it. What you've just done is you've taken the entire marketing industry, the entire film industry, you've taken everything and said, need an extra piece of B-roll that you don't want to fly somebody to go get and spend, $500,000 on making? Pika it, $30 a month. Enterprise version, $4.99 a month, whatever. And now Pika runs all of that where? On servers. And these servers are driven by what? Very likely the best of the best to give people the fastest service, because there's massive amount of money to be made with content creation. So if there's massive amount of money to be made with content creation, and there's massive amount of GPU, there's a massive amount of GPU need that's required to make that happen, or to make content that supplements your content creation happen, then enterprises will be very incentivized to spend a lot of money on the latest and greatest chips, which are right now your Grace Hopper 200 for your CPU at the top of the server stack, your H100s, GPUs for the rest of the server stack, your InfiniBand infrastructure, or look at what NVIDIA is doing now. They just started combining, letting you basically run the NVIDIA architecture over Ethernet. They came up with an end-to-end solution to allow an existing Ethernet infrastructure to use all of the InfiniBand like hardware, basically, and NVIDIA hardware. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the rate of technology advancing is crazy.
Yep.
When we were talking about like ads popping up without you even saying anything, it reminds me of a story that happened a few years ago. And this is like 3 years old now, maybe even older. And Forbes has an article on this, but this happened in Minneapolis. Dad walks into a Target demanding to speak to a manager. He's very, very mad that his daughter, who is a minor, has been receiving...
Like gold miner?
That's exactly what I meant.
Bitcoin miner?
She's in high school and she's getting coupons for baby clothes and cribs and stuff like that. And he's like, this is completely inappropriate. The manager apologized and called him back again a few days later and was like, we're really, really sorry about that. And he goes, and this is a quote, there were some activities in my house that I was not aware of.
She's pregnant.
She's pregnant.
Oh!
And it was the data was there of the things that she was buying. They just they put it together that these are usually things that young pregnant women buy. I don't remember what things she was buying in specifically. And so all the AI had to do was, oh, you buy XYZ, you are more likely to buy ABC later on. So let me give you coupons for ABC so you buy it from us. Found out before Dad even did that she was pregnant.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, it also, I mean, it somewhat makes sense. I mean, let's say you buy, what's really popular with the moms is the fetal Dopplers. They're basically at-home ultrasounds, not so you could see the child, but so you could hear the child. And it actually gives women a lot of comfort in knowing that their baby's okay, because, you take the thing and you hear the and you hear, and it shows you the heart rate or whatever. And it's kind of cool, actually. And so, because there are plenty of times during a pregnancy, which is a very emotional time for women, that you're wondering, is my child okay? Like, I haven't felt it in a while. I don't know. I want to care for this child. So you buy that. I mean, of course, what if you buy a fetal Doppler, you just became a potential, $50,000 customer of strollers and formula and bottles and cribs and everything, car seats that could be advertised to you. So that makes sense. It is very interesting, though, because the guy's implication was, you're trying to encourage my daughter to get pregnant.
Yeah,
she already was.
She already was. Dude, someone just said in chat, Mark Cuban is selling the Dallas Mavericks. Wow. And I can see that he is selling a majority stake. I don't know, maybe he's having some life crisis too, because he's also leaving Shark Tank.
I saw that too. What's his deal? Is he just retiring?
I don't know.
Or is he going bankrupt?
Right. There's no in between, right? Either he made it and he's out, or like he's screwed.
He's probably all in on Enfield. Oh.
10-year long, more than 10 years. He's going to do one last season with Shark Tank, but then he's out, and I guess he's selling the Mavericks. That's crazy. Those are like the two things I knew him for, right? It's like the Dallas Mavericks.
That's sad. I hope he's okay.
Right.
Sometimes when people do that, they come out like 6 months later, they're like, oh yeah, I have cancer. Or something like knock on wood that that's not the case. But like, that's really interesting. Who knows? Maybe it's just been very stressful for him because he had issues with the NBA. He's been involved with insider trading allegations, sexual harassment allegations. I think anytime you become a billionaire, you're just going to get all these sort of allegations and stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of at that point where it's like, why am I still doing all this stuff? And that might be why. I mean, how have their scores been? Have they been losing? Maybe there's a simpler reason here.
No, I think I don't know. Any sports ball fans in the crowd, let us know. But
somebody says he's going to run for president. That would be interesting. See a shark run for president. But it would have to be like 2028 at this point. I mean, maybe, then he'd be 71. He'd be qualified age-wise.
Yeah. If anything, maybe on the young side. Yeah.
Yikes. All right. I think that's all we got.
That's all we got.
All right. Let's hit that music. I'll be live tomorrow in the stock market open live stream, so see me there. And as usual, even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, licensed real estate broker, and becoming a stockbroker, this video is neither personalized financial nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content shown should not be deemed endorsed by us. This video is not and shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient information for the purposes of evaluating a security or investment decision. Any links or promoted products or either paid affiliations or products or services we may benefit from. I also personally operate an actively managed ETF and hold long positions in various of the securities mentioned here. However, I have no relationship to any issuers and am not presently acting as a market maker. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.